Now, winning the elusive youth vote could hinge on the use of social media, which analysts believe will play a crucial role in this campaign. Oliver Peterson spoke with Dr. Tama from the School of Internet Studies at Curtin University.
Tama, welcome to 7:30 WA.
Thank you.
In this election campaign, are people's Facebook and Twitter accounts going to be bombarded with political messages?
Certainly this is a campaign where social media is going to make a difference. I think if we look at both the last federal election but also elections around the world, we know that social media matters. And in what is going to be a fairly tight election, actually connecting with people through social media, through the channels that they use and the places that they talk, is, I think, going to make all the difference for the current candidates.
Is this the equivalent of electronic junk mail?
It isn't. In the sense that it is often not what we expect to see. It's often not necessarily the messages that we're after seeing. But at the same time, I think people are desperate to engage with politicians on a level that isn't just branded, isn't just surface. And at least social media, whether used well or not, feels like you can make a more direct connection with the candidates. And I think that's probably one of the big discriminators between people that use it well and don't, is the sense that the candidates who are using social media to connect with people are actually having a conversation. They are replying to people. They are engaging. I think if you look at the differences between, say, Kevin Rudd and Tony Abbott, Abbott does not reply to people, and Kevin Rudd, very strategically and very carefully, but does cultivate a sense of connectivity with people, and I think that's why he is our sort of #1 social media politician at the moment.
Well, you mentioned Kevin Rudd there. He posted a selfie of himself cutting himself shaving. Now, he's got 1.2 million Twitter followers. Is this a form of campaigning?
Absolutely, and I think Kevin Rudd is well aware that his Twitter followers are probably the reason that he's Prime Minister again. I think he has a very popular ground base of support, and I think he cultivates that. I think the idea of using Instagram to do sort of the almost dad joke type selfies where, oh look, I've cut myself shaving, oh look, I'm trying to catch a football, I might be dropping it, but my spirit's right. I think those sort of self-effacing humour sort of moments are doing incredibly well. He's very carefully cultivating a personal image that many people feel a lot of affection towards, and I think when you contrast that with other people, I think he's the most canny social media user we've got at the moment.
Now, the Liberal Party, their ad attacking Kevin Rudd. Now, this was released on YouTube before television. Is this a trend you think we will continue to see?
Absolutely. I think YouTube is a great way for people to test the water, as it were. I think the sort of response you get on YouTube gives you a good indication whether it's an ad that people are going to be interested in. If people like it and share it, that's obviously really valuable. But it's also valuable to see if you're going to get a really negative reaction. If you're testing how far you can degrade someone, I guess, knowing what your limits are because you've got that on social media rather than spending tens of thousands of dollars for 30 seconds in a slot, that makes a big difference too. So I think we will see YouTube flooded, I suspect, in this campaign. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's probably a cannier way of doing it. But it also means that there will be the inevitable remixes of that material as well. So people will have their own voice on display in social media, not just the candidates' voices.
Now, what about the dark side of social media? Will it be used for dirty tricks?
I think all politics has got dirty tricks built into it, so I can't imagine social media will be any different. I know that some of the most enjoyable Twitter accounts are the parody ones. So there's a Gulia Gillard, for example, that was, and still remains, a very humorous account that a lot of people follow and a lot of people enjoy. And I imagine we'll see parody accounts of all sorts. And those accounts will probably get even more use now that the politicians are kind of parodying themselves. I mean, I think Rudd is playing into those sort of parodying accounts, but the way that he's portraying himself a bit. So I think it's a dialogue that, if managed well, can actually be incredibly useful. And I think it's not taking the position of being afraid of social media, because that will ostracise yourself from the community in a particular way.
Now, in the end, will social media be decisive in this election campaign?
Social media has a better chance of making a difference in this campaign. I think if you look at the state level, for example, there was not that much social media use because it wasn't a tight election. There was no real sense that it was down the line almost anywhere. In the federal election, it's a much tighter race, and I think the difference of just getting a handful of people to change their votes will probably make or break someone's campaign. And I think social media is definitely going to be one of the places where those sort of campaigns will be won.
Tama, thank you for joining 7:30 WA.
My pleasure.